And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another edition of Voices from the Grid. I am the Blue Ranger, Michael, being joined by your Green Ranger, Mr. Ben Taylor.
What up? It's me, your boy. Like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell. Oh, wait, this isn't YouTube.
I mean, when they're listening, they can subscribe to.
Yeah, but like ring the bell and all
yeah.
that sort of stuff is just, that's pure YouTube.
Yep. So on this week's episode, we are doing 3 episodes as we continue our way through the Who the Gold Ranger saga.
Before we actually begin, I do want to make this clear to the listeners. This is the 3rd time we've tried to record this episode. So some things in this may not be as organic as they did the first couple of times we recorded them. They may sound a little rehearsed. But that's because we've done this 3 times now.
So we're doing Rockabye Rangers, Do I Know You, and Revelations of Gold.
Yeah, we are.
And hopping right into it, we got Rockabye Rangers. And we actually start with the Rangers getting beat up by the Cogs. However, we see the Gold Ranger appear and rescue the Rangers, which, according to Mondo, this is all according to plan, as he wants to tire out the Rangers, and tired they are.
Yeah, it's kind of, we're like, what, 30 episodes in at this point? 31 episodes, and we're seeing the first actual sign of tactics from the Machine Empire.
Yeah. Like, it's about time.
Yeah.
You would think that they would. But,
for what was put over as a awesome fighting force in the intro, and having a full army in space, we're finally getting some tactics from the Machine Empire that aren't just like send a monster. Oh, well, it failed. Try again tomorrow.
Yep. So anyways, the Rangers are feeling the fatigue at the youth center. Adam is passed out while Rocky and Tanya talk to Billy, and Rocky actually states
Rocky. I'm not sure that's the right franchise there, buddy.
I corrected myself to say Rocky actually, stating the obvious of school chores, homework, and being Power Rangers. They haven't slept well in weeks. But then at the same time, we have Billy dodging questions.
Right, so they're like, oh, between homework and being a Power Ranger and all this other stuff, we've not slept well in weeks. But in the previous 3 seasons, they've been doing literally everything all together all at once. And we've harped on and on about it. Like, when do they have time to, I don't know, sleep? And finally now they're like, oh, now I'm tired.
They needed a few seasons to get worn down.
Sure.
Because that's how Power Rangers logic works. But Billy's dodging questions because Tanya is asking him what's he been up to. He says he's been working on a project, but he doesn't want to state what he is working on.
So this is them somewhat teasing Billy having been the Gold Ranger, maybe being the Gold Ranger. Is he the Gold Ranger, right? Spoiler alert, he's not. But he never ever elaborates on what this other project he's working on is. Now, and I know that I'm a big one for like, well, if it's not on the TV show, it doesn't exist. But I think it's a nice little nod that he might be working on the turbo powers.
Yeah. I mean, it would make sense that that's what he's working on.
Yeah.
Anyways, Mondo He sees the Rangers in the state that they're in, so he sends out the Somnibot to put them to sleep for good. But however, Somnibot almost takes themselves out when they almost take out the pilot while practicing their singing.
Yeah, because for the first time ever, they have to fly a monster from the sky base to Earth.
Well, I mean, in reality, this monster was kind of sleeping in the machine.
But like in the past, they've just teleported them. Well, you don't need to be conscious for you to teleport.
This is very true. But also, we've kind of noticed that they need to get the quadra fighters in there somehow.
Yeah, they haven't used the quadra fighters for anything really.
Yeah.
So it's quite a nice way to be like, hey, look.
Like, we have this weapon that we can use against the Rangers. But anyways, the Somnibot gets into Angel Grove, and the Rangers get notified, and they're tired. Like, literally, Kat shows frustration, Rocky shows dismay, and Aisha shows anguish when Zordon summons them. Like, they have the look of, I don't want to deal with this.
Yeah, like I said, it's definitely that. Definitely the they're starting to try and make this tactic of the Machine Empire be a thing, right? But it's almost a little too late, you know?
Yeah. Especially the fact that it doesn't last past this episode either.
Yeah.
But we'll get there. So anyways, they all arrive to the command center or power chamber for briefing. I keep calling it the command center because
I do too, because it's in the command center, let's be honest.
It really is. But anyways, they get there for briefing. The Rangers actually seem confused by Billy and how he is acting in the command center. And then because he arrives late to make final changes on something to aid the Rangers in their battle against Somnibot. So the Rangers then morph into action and they start fighting the cogs, but for whatever reason, they go from the rocky stand area and decide, let's just start fighting in the river for whatever reason.
Yeah, this being the same, like previously water has blown up cogs, right? And now they're just fighting in a river.
Let's just go into the river and just start like kicking water at each other and splashing each other like it's a good time at the beach or something. Sure. But anyways, Somnibot shows up and the powers are too strong for the Rangers. However, the Gold Ranger comes in time, drop kicks Clank, and then destroys the monster with
it's weird. Like
Gold Rush.
The Gold Ranger shows up and just one-shots Somnibot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's and I talk about this a lot, right? Which is the Gold Ranger being a lot, or the Sixth Ranger, should I say? In this case, the gold. He's not gold. He's a Black Ranger with a gold collar. The Gold Ranger having all these abilities that when he joins the team, he then loses. It happens all the time.
Yeah. Because becoming a team player means you can't run it solo anymore.
It's weird because it's just like, I mean, yeah, the Gold Ranger is a very big example of this, as is Trent in Dino Thunder. You can just do things when they're not part of the team that they just forget they can't do. It's bizarre. Anyway, yeah, he shows up and he one-shot Somnibot.
And then they get back to the Machine Empire, and Mondo is upset and demands that Clank rebuild Somnibot and then set it loose once again. But to up the power, now we see a different looking version of Somnibot. And this time when they go down, they actually get involved with Bulk and Skull, which we'll talk about in a little bit.
Yeah, we will discover why Bulk and Skull are near a truck soon, but they steal a truck to then plug into the electric grid of Angel Grove
to power Somnibot.
From Angel Grove's electric grid.
Yes. So this brings out the Rangers as we get to see all 5 jet cycles finally, and we had to get every single shot of the Zeo Rangers on these jet cycles. Like, if there was an angle that you could think of, we probably got it.
And it's weird because they're like, "Oh no, we've got to cut off. Cut off this truck while we still know where it is." Right? When they get to the truck, it stopped. It is not going anywhere. They're like, "We have to get on the Zeo mega cycles and chase down this truck, or you could just teleport there."
But anyways, the Rangers pull over the truck, but the sleeping spell is much stronger, and the Rangers are struggling. Billy disappears once again, and when he disappears, this is when the Gold Ranger appears to try to come to the rescue, which he then has issues dealing with Somnibot. However, Alpha is able to do a power surge that does the trick to shut down the power being dispensed into Somnibot.
Yeah, somehow Alpha manages to send a power surge down one specific wire that tracks its way all the way through the Angel Grove power system and only overloads that one specific truck.
That's not how electrical engineering.
That's not how electric science works.
Anyways, Clank makes Somnibot grow, and it's Zeo Ultra Zord time. And we've talked before about how the Rangers were told that you should never escalate a battle, but this is definitely escalating a battle. Because
it's not the first time we've seen the Zeo Ultra Zord, right?
Yes, I know, but like this is like one where like Somnibot's like, yeah, bring it on, and then you see the size comparison. It's like, yo, Somnibot, you just might want to pack it in because the Zeo Ultra Zord is like 10 times bigger than you. It could step on you and just squish you.
Yeah, we'll document our problems. Like, I talked a lot about my problems with the Zeo Ultra Zord before now, because for somehow I got stuck covering the entire Gold Ranger saga. And it just, there's so many issues with the Zeo Ultra Zord. Like, the Zeo Zords didn't exist. How does Pyramidus include them? How does Trey just
that's not how logic works.
And it's just how, like, I think it might also be the worst it might be the worst Ultra Zord because it's just big and it doesn't fight. It just Care Bear stares at the thing and it falls over.
Yeah. But anyways, they get the win. And then back at the command center, the gang is suspicious that Billy is the Gold Ranger because he just magically reappears again.
Yeah.
He's not he just shows up.
Yeah. I don't know. It's weird. Like, it's this episode's not good. It's got some fun little moments in it, but it's not good. Let's talk about Bulk and Skull.
Yeah. So, anyways, Bulk and Skull, they get an assignment. And the assignment is that they must protect a safe. And while they're being told their assignment from Detective Stone, the burglar is painfully obviously outside the door. Listening.
So I've got a question for you.
Yes.
If you've got a big old safe that you want guarding, Do you A, hire security guards, or B, hire private detectives?
Security guards.
Right. So, you know what my follow up question is going to be? Why are they hiring private detectives to guard a safe and expect it to not go wrong?
Because they stupid.
Fair.
But anyways, so Detective Stone leaves. Later on, the burglar shows up as a locksmith and swindles Bulk and Skull into thinking that something is wrong with the safe. And might I add that this safe is like one of those old-timey safes that you would probably find on the Titanic.
Yeah, it's a big old thick boy safe.
Yeah. So you have that. And then as soon as the burglar leaves with the safe, they get a phone call from Detective Stone. Stone's like, yeah, no, there is no locksmith coming, you idiots. So they chase after the burglar. And this is when we get into where Somnibot shows up, because they actually catch him and they're trying to do a legitimate arrest
Yes.
on the guy. And, Somnibot puts him to sleep. And then at the end of the episode, they arrive back at their detective agency office with the safe. And when they open up the safe, you find out that it is a recipe for egg salad. And it doubles as a fridge, as there's egg salad sandwiches in there as well.
Yeah. The precious thing that needed guarding were egg salad sandwiches.
Maybe that's why she asked the detectives and not the security, because the security probably looked at her and went, yeah, no.
There were times where you just look at an episode of Power Rangers like, could you just not have left Bulk and Skull out of this episode? This is one of those times.
I mean, at least the next one, it's going to build to something. Because like when they bring in Bulk and Skull for the one thing, at the very end of the episode, they bring back Rito and Goldar, which then kind of feeds into a new little mini storyline that goes into, Revelations of Gold.
Yeah.
So at least that has a purpose. They're creating a mini story and they're pushing them along, or at least Rito and Goldar at that point along somewhere, and Bulk and Skull are needed to help with that. So it's like at least there's a purpose, and we'll talk about that in a moment when we get to Do I Know You and Revelations of Gold. So.
Well, I'm kind of done with Rockabye Rangers, not only because there's not a whole lot more to talk about, but because this is the third time we've recorded this episode.
So then let's go Do I Know You?
Yeah, let's do that.
All right. So we actually start off this episode with a very intense look at Pyramidas as its path is making its path to Earth, but it's also being chased by it's actually just coming to Earth to land. Meanwhile, Tommy and Adam are riding bikes, and
yes.
Kat, Tanya, and Rocky are at the command center trying to find the Gold Ranger.
Yeah, they are actually doing detective work, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, and then Billy's with them too, but he dips out to take care of a few things. Anyways, back at the park where Tommy and Adam are, Pyramidas is landing, and before we get to the landing of the Pyramidas, there's this random woman there with her dog.
Yeah.
And as Pyramidas is landing down and stuff like that, she just kind of like I know the idea is that the dog escaped her, but it literally looks like she just kind of threw the dog and let the dog run away.
Yeah.
like one of those really bad infomercials that we see at like 2 a.m,
Like,
where it's like,
do you have problems putting things in shelves?
It's like the person trying to like pour milk and they just drop the milk carton all over. They
try to pour milk and the milk just shoots out the other end of the carton like a bazooka. Like,
yeah, it's like it was that bad. It literally looked like an infomercial. Like
they're trying to make coffee and the house just explodes.
It's like, here's how to hold your dog when Pyramidus is landing. Let's go of the dog. You know, but anyways. But Pyramidus lands, Lady loses the dog, and somehow this monster is actually inside Pyramidus.
Yeah. So before we got there, sorry, I want to go back to the detective work that the Rangers are doing. Because finally, one of the Rangers asks the question, where does the Gold Ranger get his powers? Because there were only 5 pieces of the Zeo crystal.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And I wish Sasha were here. Because it's never like Zordon talks a whole lot, but says nothing. Right? It is the Zordon equivalent of there's a very simple explanation for this. Like, it's never explained where he actually gets his powers.
Yeah. So yeah,
though while they do ask where does he get his powers and they don't get an answer, no one asks, well, why does he have a Zord that can fit all the Zords that Billy built in episode 3?
The actual important question. But anyways, we find out that the monster that's in there in Pyramidus is Verox, a bounty hunter who is chasing after, and this is how he puts it, not the Gold Ranger, but the pilot of Pyramidus, because he doesn't know him as a Power Ranger, he just knows him as a pilot.
Yeah.
So Mondo knows that Pyramidus is down there on Earth now, so he actually sends all the cogs.
So let's rewind for a minute, right? Couple of questions. Number 1, Pyramidus has been on Earth before.
Yes.
Right?
Potentially.
It's landed on Earth. It's formed the Ultra Zord. It's done stuff without being an Ultra Zord. Why all of a sudden now does it cause earthquakes?
Something tells me, and this is where I wish we had Brian, because he would talk about the Sentai, so I'm going to fill in this for him. I think Pyramidus technically in the Sentai appeared much earlier, and this is how it was introduced.
Right. But the earthquakes aren't coming from Sentai footage. The earthquakes are coming from Power Rangers footage.
I understand that. But the thing is that the stuff that they're using to lead into Pyramidus coming in is from Sentai.
Okay.
So they're using that to bring him in. Same with the next episode, which that's
I'm fine with like Pyramidus landing and taking off and landing and taking off. That's fine. I'm just specifically asking why in this instance and never before and never since does it cause earthquakes.
Because the writers never thought it out properly.
Cool. And the Varox creature that's inside Pyramidus talks about Pyramidus having a protective field, right?
Yeah. He can't attack the pilot unless the pilot leaves Pyramidus.
So how did he get in?
I have no damn idea. I don't know.
Does Pyramidus have no internal sensors?
I evidently not.
Yeah.
But the only thing I can think of is that like Verox, Pyramidus was at some planet or something, or he was at some dive bar on another planet. And
what's that planet we see in space? The Wild West planet.
Oh God, I don't remember the name offhand.
Yeah, they were there.
Yeah. That's where they were.
Yeah.
Bounty hunter just snuck in, but he knew that he could not touch the pilot in Pyramidas. He could be in there. It's not going to affect him. If you try to touch him, that's another story. So yeah, we'll go with that logic.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
And then you talked about sending all of the cogs. So I did a quick count.
There were like 7?
There were like 1,300 cogs on the screen when he was like, send all of the cogs. When they were on Earth, there were like 7 of them. If you have 1,300 cogs, just send them all to Earth at once.
I mean, that was the one thing that Super Mega Force got, right?
Yeah. The one thing.
But so you have the cogs searching for Pyramidas. Tommy and Adam is in contact with the Rangers at the command center, and they're doing their own search. They actually spot the cogs looking for Pyramidas as well. So they go, let's just sit back. Let's let them
do the work.
Yeah, let's let them do the work. Hey, Tommy, you had a great idea. Except it wasn't.
For once.
Except it wasn't, because as soon as they said that, guess who found them instead of
Pyramidas? Let's be fair. It was a good idea. It was just really badly executed.
That's also true. I'll give them that. But they're found instead, and they morph into battle. And interestingly, they're doing a pretty decent job.
There's a shot in this fight where Adam takes out 3 cogs, like fully takes them out, makes them explode by running a bike past them.
Yeah.
2 episodes ago in Oily to Bed, Oily to Rise, 3 cogs beat Adam and Tanya in a fight.
Yep.
WTF?
Welcome to Power Rangers, everybody. But anyways, the others then morph into battle to help out Adam and Tommy. And they're struggling a little bit, but they're not struggling mightily. However, the Gold Ranger arrives for the save. And after this, the Rangers actually try to talk to the Gold Ranger.
Yeah.
And at the same time this is happening, Mondo and Sprocket actually come down to Earth to talk to Verox, who is spying on the Rangers. And they make a deal.
Right, but there's a small problem with that, right? Because Varrock's like 20 feet from the Rangers. Like he's just behind a rock. And Sprocket and Mondo show up in a flash of lightning. And the Rangers don't notice.
They're more focused on trying to talk to the Gold Ranger. They're like, yeah, there's lightning. That's cool.
You wouldn't notice it. Yeah, because they've never had problems with people shooting lightning from the sky before to make, I don't know, out of a magic wand to make monsters grow or anything.
Yeah, I know. It's okay. We want to find out who this Gold Ranger dude is. So Mondo and Verox make a deal. Verox then goes on to battle the Gold Ranger, which Verox is actually doing a good job of defeating the Gold Ranger, which is actually our first real instance. I mean, yeah, Somnibot kind of had him a little bit with the sleeping thing, but this is the real first time that we've actually seen the Gold Ranger actually exposed and vulnerable, because this bounty hunter actually has the skills to actually take down the Gold Ranger.
So Mondo says when Mondo and Varrock are talking, Varrock introduces himself as a bounty hunter, right?
Yeah.
A single bounty hunter called Varrock, who Mondo has never heard of. Even though Varrock is apparently the best bounty hunter in this quadrant. Even though Mondo is the ruler of like most of space, if you listen to Zeo Beginning, right? He's also like a former member of the United Alliance of Evil, and he's an all-round bad dude. How has he never heard of the best bounty hunter in the Zeta Quadrant?
No idea. He
Cool.
probably not as good of a bounty hunter. However, one interesting note is that additional bounty hunters
We'll
do appear later.
we'll talk about that next episode.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it's weird because there's a line that Mondo throws out there that makes you go, huh? So anyways, the rest of the Rangers, they actually come to the rescue of the Gold Ranger. They use the Zeo cannon to take out Verox. However, Clank decides to make Verox grow. To which the Rangers they summon the Zeo Megazord to take out Verox for good. And when they call for the Zeo Megazord, they do send the Gold Ranger to the command center so Alpha and Zordon can work with him.
Yeah.
As this is happening, the Gold Rangers, he's revived, he gets up and he thanks both Alpha and Zordon by name. Mm-hmm. And he says, I know who you are, but they don't know how or why. So yeah. And then he leaves, and then the Ranger, and then enter Billy because
teasing he's the Gold Ranger. Yep,
the red herring. So that's Do I Know You? And then there is a
that's kind of
there is a Bulk and Skull story,
which is
so the lady who gave up her dog comes to the detective agency because the police don't want to be bothered trying to find her dog. And so Detective Stone sends him out on the case. Bulk and Skull try to find the dog. However, when they're back at the office, which, by the way, they have a really cool setup that warns them when Detective Stone is on his way to the office. So, like, they'll be, like, goofing off or whatever. And then, like, when he gets a certain point before he gets to the door, this little toy monkey starts going off.
Yeah, I have a problem with the fact that Bulk and Skull managed to a laser tripwire. Just saying.
It's weird. But anyways, they find
it's funny and all, but
Detective Stone arrives at the end of the episode with the woman, and she goes, "Oh, the dog found its way home. So everything's good." And the Detective Stone goes, "Well, because we already cashed the check, guess what, Bulk and Skull? You're going to get to do housework," which is the reintroduction of Rito and Goldar, who have been MIA for a few episodes.
Yeah, and because they're going to have a role to play next episode.
Yes.
Yeah, when we get to Revelations of Gold.
Yes, Revelation of Gold. Yep. Yeah, because they actually
we'll talk about that when we get to
yeah, we'll talk about it when we get there. It's the next episode anyway.
Let's just move on to get that one done.
All right. Which is Revelations of Gold. And do you just want to go right into the Bulk and Skull and just get it out of the way because we're already talking about it?
Yeah, let's do that.
So
because there's a bit of a rant coming.
Yes. So
and not about Bulk and Skull.
So as we saw, Rito and Goldar had returned after being away for a few episodes, and they're at the park and they're looking at this stuff and they're wondering where they're from. And so they go up the Bulk and Skull and they're like, they dump a whole bunch of garbage and go, "We're paying you to find out where we belong." Like
who our family is.
Yeah, who is our family? And so Bulk and Skull really don't try, but at the end of the episode, there's this mysterious package that is there. Like, it's just there. Mm-hmm. And it's addressed to Rito and Goldar at the detective agency, and Bulk opens it up, and then you see this magic stuff happening, and Bulk and Skull both pass out, and then you see Rita and Zed pop up.
Yep.
And go, "Boys, it's time to come home." So, and that's kind of where it's at now, because now this is leading into, Rito and Goldar getting reunited with Zed and Rita.
Yeah, yeah. Outside of that, which is obviously the A story, we have the resolution of the Mystery of the Gold Ranger arc. Hence it being called Revelations of Gold, right?
Yep.
You want to talk about this?
Yeah. So as I mentioned, we had bounty hunters, a bounty hunter introduced in the last episode. Now we're seeing a fleet of bounty hunters.
Yes, the person who introduced himself as I am Varrock, the best bounty hunter in the galaxy. Turns out it is now a race called the Varrock, and they are all bounty hunters.
Yes.
And they are all programmed to singularly target one target.
Pyramidas and the Gold Ranger. So we are actually seeing an in-space chase of
now in space is like 2 seasons from now.
Yeah, I know, but you know what I mean, good sir. They're in space, literally in space.
No, in space is 2 seasons from now.
Oh my god. They're in outer space chasing Pyramidas and the Gold Ranger.
No, Chase to Space is the final episode of Turbo.
Stop it. So anyways, they're chasing Pyramidas, and they actually and by the way, this is some of the roughest CGI in all of Power. I have to say, this is probably rougher than the CGI in the 95 Power Rangers movie.
Right, but in all fairness to them, it was a TV show,
yes.
B, a kids TV show, and C, didn't have nearly the budget of the movie.
Yes. It was still pretty rough watching it. Pyramidas, as a result of some damage, crashes into the oceans of Aquitar, and the Alien Rangers come to save the Gold Ranger. And
let's talk about this for a minute, right? So the Varrock are chasing Pyramidas, and we get a full. It feels like a full 5 minutes of them just doing this dogfight, right? And there's shots of Mondo on the Machine Skybase being like, oh, this should be interesting, right?
Well, his original line is like, why are they here? I don't remember them on my payroll.
Yeah.
Like, that was like one of the weird lines, because it was like, you just made a deal with Ferox in the last episode.
But it's never established who initially set the Varrock after the Gold Ranger, right? And we actually hear the Varrock race describe him as the Gold Ranger this episode, rather than the pilot of Pyramidas.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah, it's definitely weird. So anyways, after the Alien Rangers do save the Gold Ranger, he demorphs, and he's kind of phasing a little bit.
Before we get to demorphing, right? The reason why I was bringing up Mondo is Mondo's like, hey, the Gold Ranger is occupied. Recently, the Rangers have needed the Gold Ranger to help them out with my plans. So I'm going to attack them while the Gold Ranger is occupied.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And I'm building to a point where he actually does something to the Rangers directly, because after the Alien Rangers see who it is, they contact the Rangers.
Right. And this is where my rant's going to come in.
Yeah. And then they go, hey, meet Treya Triforia, a.k.a. the Gold Ranger. And in this point, this is actually where they're like, okay, we need to send Trey to the Rangers.
Right. So before we get any further, let's talk about the reveal. Right. What a load of codswallop. Not only did you spend 7 episodes before this one teasing us with who the Gold Ranger was going to be, setting up various mysteries and misdirects and red herrings. But when you pay it off, it's none of them.
Yeah.
Right? That is not how you do a good mystery. Like, if you are writing clues and you are doing a mystery, you should be leaving clues that allow you, your viewer, your reader, your consumer to work out the answer.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah.
And on top of all of that, on top of all of that, when they finally reveal who the Gold Ranger is, that it's Trey of Triforia, they don't even do it to the Earth Rangers. It's to the Equation Rangers. What a load of poop.
Yeah. Like, because it definitely takes a lot of steam out of the whole thing.
Like, for 7 episodes, they've been trying to work out who this dude is. They've been doing the detective work like we talked about in the last episode. They've been trying to figure it out. And then the way they find out is, oh, here's a view screen.
Look at the viewing globe.
Like, come on, dude.
So this right here is, as we mentioned, the Alien Rangers are going to be sending Trey to the Rangers on Earth. So Mondo puts a deflector on the command center. He's like, nope, I'm going to make it where you can't go there. You're not going to get him. So the Rangers divert his course to Angel Grove Cove, to which then when they get there, the Rangers frantically search the cove for Trey. They run in the water, and we have this very epic synchronized swimming maneuver where Tommy has Trey by like the waist and lifts him up. Like he's
once again, Tommy's the hero.
Like they're in a ballet in water. It was very weird watching that part again, where it's like, why does it have to be so over dramatic like that? That makes no sense.
Question.
Answer.
How does Mondo know Trey is alive?
Because he's watching the Rangers frantically search for him.
No. Even before that, how does he know he's alive in order to erect the field?
So
the only answer is that he can monitor the Rangers' communications, right?
That's what I would assume, that he can monitor the communications.
So why has he never done that before or since?
Well, no, he did do it before. He did it when Billy's Wild Ride.
No, he got that because Billy was in space. He saw the pod coming from Akatar.
And they technically sent like a weird teleportation pod with Trey on this one. So I'll go with the monitoring communications because that's the only thing that makes sense.
Yeah.
So Trey is saved and reveals there are 3 of him: Trey of Courage, Trey of Wisdom, Trey of Heart.
Someone didn't write down all of the Triforces properly. Go back and rewatch your Zelda.
Probably why they couldn't do it, because they didn't want to get sued.
Yeah, probably.
Well, excuse me, princess, but I...
Thank you, Lone Star.
So we learn of Trey's personalities and his people, where there's always 3 of them, and it's the Gold Ranger powers that keep him as one, and that he actually must be one in order to hold the powers as well. Tommy knows who'd be perfect for the Gold Ranger powers. However, right when he says that, Mondo, in the nick of time, sends Quadra fighters to attack them. Hey, remember that Quadra fighter from like 2 episodes ago? Now there's like 5.
Yeah.
Um,
There were 5 in Zeo beginning too, when they were
yeah,
chasing down Rita and Zed to get them off the moon.
yeah, and so these Quadra fighters are chasing them, and then they get over to like this little cave, and then that's where the Cogs arrive, along with the actual Machine family. The actual family comes down with Clank and Orbis as well, and so the Rangers morph into action. They're trying their best to keep Trey safe. Billy gets the shield down in time to get all 3 Treys to the command center. And once he does that, Billy is ready to accept the Gold Ranger powers. But Billy's got some bad news.
That's some bad news.
Billy can't accept the powers.
I'm afraid I've got some bad news.
Please, Wade Barrett, start doing that again more often, please. That's a plea as a wrestling fan. Love you on commentary though. But Billy can't accept the powers because of when the command center exploded, he absorbed too many negative protons. So it's kind of like,
which is a bit of foreshadowing for his exit.
Yeah. Think of it kind of like a battery, where if you put 2 batteries to each other the wrong way, they repel each other.
You mean magnets?
Or yeah, magnets. That's what I was thinking. But yeah, somehow Tommy knows somebody, and this is an interesting line from this is the exact dialogue that was used in the end of the episode.
Mm-hmm.
Tommy goes, "I know someone." Zordon goes, "Bring him. You have very little time." Tommy did not specify the gender of who he was thinking of.
Yeah.
So when I rewatched that and I listened to that, I went, that's interesting. We could have had anybody. We could have had a male or a female character be it, and then Zordon throws the guy line out there. So that was kind of a little deflating in a way, seeing that, because it's like, man, that could have been a real swerve. It's like, instead of maybe getting Jason, you could have gotten like, Trini could have been the person coming back or something like that. It could have made a bigger swerve.
Yeah, they could have.
But
they didn't, but they could have.
Yeah. So I just wanted to bring that up because like that dialogue from Tommy, then the dialogue from Zordon was a really weird but yet interesting exchange.
Yeah.
Look at it, from hindsight. So, and that's the episode.
Yeah.
Pain.
It's just a really bad ending to the Gold Ranger saga, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, technically, the Gold Ranger saga doesn't officially end until the next episode when Tommy brings the person that takes the powers.
Well, that kind of starts a new saga.
Yeah.
Because the Gold Ranger saga is about the entrance of the Gold Ranger and the discovery of his identity.
Yeah.
Which is what this episode is about, is the discovery of his identity. And that's what's held so much sway for how long now? 7, 8 episodes?
Yeah.
And instead, what we're getting is we're getting a really botched reveal.
Yeah.
Like, could you imagine like if say Pyramidas had crashed on Earth and the Rangers had to go in, save the Gold Ranger, reveal who he was, and there'd been any sorts of clue to it being like someone like a Triforian. It's bizarre, man.
Yeah, I mean, part of me thinks it's like, okay, I know we saw Sestro earlier in this season, with Billy, taking Billy off Earth for Graduation Blues, and then when he returned in Billy's Wild Ride, or no, he wasn't in that one. I think this was in a way to kind of remind people that the Alien Rangers still existed.
Yeah, I'm quite it was quite nice to see Delphine again.
Yeah, because as we've alluded to, later in the season, they play a kind of a semi-big role with Billy again.
Yeah.
So I think in a way it was kind of keep one group still a little relevant, but at the same time they sacrifice the reveal should have been to keep them relevant in a way.
Yeah.
Because like you didn't need to have the Alien Rangers be there for the reveal of Trey. Like if the Alien Rangers showed up later in this season for the whole Billy thing, people still would have gone if they had been watching. Like, oh, it's the Alien Rangers. They're back. We remember Billy helped them earlier this season already, so it's like, it's kind of like a hand in hand thing. We would have figured that one out. We're stupid, but we ain't that stupid, especially when
I don't think you even needed to.
So,
yeah.
But yeah, I don't think there's much more we need to talk about.
It's just, even though it is the conclusion of one of the big arcs of the Zeo series, it's 3 episodes of like, it's not good.
Yeah. So, alrighty. Ready to do that social medias thing?
Again, I'd like to apologize to everyone who's tuning in and was expecting to hear us riff a bit more. But as I said before, this is the 3rd time we've recorded this episode. We're done riffing on this episode. You'll notice the bit we'd never done before, which is a bit about like the infomercial, because that was actually kind of organic and us just going nuts. But the rest of this is just stuff that we've discussed 2 or 3 times. So it is stuff. It might sound a bit rote, and we apologize for that. Blame Mike. Anyway.
Always blame me. Let's start off.
Yes, always blame Mike, but this time actually blame Mike because it is his fault.
So anyways, Ben, where can we find on social media?
You can find me on Twitter
at Bob T. Goldfish.
You can find me on the Twitch doing the video game thing over at
twitch.tv/321_TV.
And you can find the sister show, Two Voices from the Grid, Awesome Mania, over at
txhthockey.com/x75production/Awesome Mania.
Or if you just go to thxthockey.com, you can click on the X75 Productions drop down, and it's right there.
Yep.
Other than that,
the great thing about drop down menus, isn't it?
Yeah, right. Other than that, that's kind of me.
All right, and then you can find me on the Twitters at the Lindenbaum75, Facebook at facebook.com/X75Productions, Twitch at twitch.tv/TheMichaelX75. And of course, obviously, everything's over at txhthockey.com. And for the show, Twitter at VFTG_PR, and also for the drop down menu on X75 Productions on the website.
And Spotify. And Google Podcasts.
If you haven't held the most rehearsed bit on any episode is the social medias.
Except for the Mike always forgets to mention that we're available on Spotify and Google Podcasts. He always forgets
that's because
it.
that's kind of like your bit. That's your bit thing.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
It's only my bit because you forget to do it.
Well, no. Think of it like this. I do two, and then you do the other two.
Yeah.
But anyways, with that,
he's making that up, folks.
So anyways, Ben, do the takeout.
It's been 8 episodes of not very good Power Rangers. I wish there had been a genuinely good Power Rangers episode in the Gold Ranger saga, but I'm struggling to think of one.
We'll just say Instrument of Destruction, even though it has nothing to do with the Gold Ranger.
Yeah, sure. That being said, now that it has concluded, we will leave you as we always do when I'm on the episode, except for when that one episode where Sasha forgot the exit. Guys, gals, and non-binary pals. The words of the 16th President of the United States, Abraham Lincoln, be excellent to each other. Party on, non-gender specific honorifics.
And until our next more phenomenal episode, grab your Xeonizers and may the power protect you.
Peace.